Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening. This is Primetime Asia and I'm Malini Jaini. This week in Primetime Asia, we'll bring you some of the events and happenings in the Asia-Pacific region, beginning with the explosion in Maldives on a boat which was just boarded by President Abdullah Yameen. We also bring you the outcome of an Indian court decision over a train blast incident in 2006. India has also taken a new turn towards the direction of a clean environment with solar power as a choice. Now, there's also a segment on the family reunion activities in Bangladesh and Korea. But first on the incident in Maldives. A top Maldive diplomat in the United Nations says an explosion on the boat of the island nation's leader was likely a targeted attack. Foreign Minister Dunya Mamun said it would remain unclear who was behind the blast that struck Monday when the boat carrying President Yameen and his wife back from Saudi Arabia after performing Hajj reached the main jetty in the capital Mali. The president was unhurt. His wife and aides suffered minor injuries while a bodyguard was more seriously hurt. Now Kartini Knox has the details.
President Abdullah Yameen of the Maldives was unhurt, but his wife and two aides were injured in an explosion on board their speedboat as it approached Malé, the capital of the Indian Ocean archipelago. The cause of the blast was not immediately clear, but it was witnessed by several journalists who were waiting to meet President Abdullah Yameen on his return from the Hajj pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia. The 59-year-old president is a controversial figure both at home and abroad. He rose to power in a bitterly contested presidential election in 2013. The leader he defeated, Mohammad Nasheed, was jailed earlier this year for terrorism in a case that has drawn international criticism. A broader crackdown against political dissent belies the reputation of the Maldives as a holiday paradise, with radicalized youths enlisting in significant numbers to fight for Islamic State militants in the Middle East. President Abdullah Yameen had landed earlier at the main international airport of the Maldives, an island chain with a population of 400,000, and was making the short final journey to Malé by water with his entourage. An eyewitness saw Yameen walking and helping an injured victim soon after the explosion, which occurred when his speedboat was just about 2 meters from the main jetty. The president later accompanied his wife, the First Lady, to Malay's main hospital. A bodyguard who suffered serious injuries and a presidential aide who was slightly hurt were also taken to hospital. The First Lady suffered minor injuries and was in stable condition and recovering. Others on board the presidential yacht at the time of the blast included senior government officials, members of parliament, the president's aides and his relatives. Investigation teams from Saudi Arabia and the United States were expected to join the investigation conducted by Maldives Police Service and Maldives National Defence Force. He also said the Indian government had pledged to assist in the investigation. Maldives police also said they're seeking assistance from the United States, Australia and other countries in investigating the explosion. The cause of the blast was unknown, but suggested that the chances of foul play were high. An Indian court, meanwhile, has sentenced 5 men to death and jailed 7 for life for planning bomb blasts that ripped through Mumbai commuter trains in 2006, killing more than 180 people and wounding hundreds. The specially convened court in Mumbai convicted 12 of 13 accused earlier this month for their role in the events that led to 7 bombs exploding on packed trains during the evening rush hour in Mumbai on July 11, 2006. The bombs targeted an overcrowded suburban network that carried around 7 million people a day. Police say the attack was carried out by Pakistan-based militants and named militant group Lashkar-e-Taiba's Pakistan-based leader Azim Chima as the prime conspirator. However, the defense lawyers disagreed with the court's verdict. Gulzar Azmi, a representative of the organization providing legal support to the convicts, said the trial was unfair. He said the real criminals behind the blasts have not been caught and the court have given sentence to innocent people. The bombs were put in pressure cookers and kept in the trains on the Western Line, used by thousands of Mumbai residents. On the environmental front, India has built a large solar power station in the western state of Gujarat. India aims to demonstrate its commitment to clean energy. The park, said to be the biggest in Asia, showcases the resolve of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he banks on renewable energy to fight climate change. Modi has set ambitious clean energy targets, including raising solar capacity fivefold to 100 gigawatts by 2022. The push aims to leapfrog India from excessive dependence on fossil fuel-based energy to clean renewable energy by taking advantage of its climate to provide power to 280 million people who are still living without electricity in 56 million homes. Gujarat set up solar power under Modi's leadership of the state and hopes to scale up its clean energy capacity, largely solar, to 8,000 megawatts by 2022. The state's Power and Finance Minister, Saurabh Patel, said Gujarat would be the major contributor to Modi's vision of an India driven by clean energy. Solar power produced has met Gujarat's demand. The state then sells the surplus supply to India's national grid, from where it would be distributed to states with power shortages. India said it expects peak power demand to double over the next 5 years, from around 140,000 megawatts today. To help meet that demand, 100,000 megawatts of new capacity is to come from solar panels, and of that, it wants at least 8,000 megawatts to come from locally made cells. The Charanka Park in Gujarat effectively brings wasteland into productive use. It was set up near the Great Run of Kutch, where the land is arid and the groundwater saline. Buoyed by the success of the Gujarat Solar Park, India plans to replicate it with similar projects across several other states. In Bangladesh, meanwhile, tens of thousands of people last week flooded ferry and rail stations in Dhaka for their journey home to celebrate one of the biggest festivals in the Islamic calendar, the Eid al-Adha. Also known as the Feast of Sacrifice, Eid al-Adha is the second of two religious holidays celebrated by Muslims worldwide each year. The festival honors the Prophet Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son's life to show his commitment to God. Due to his devotion, God intervened to provide Abraham with a lamb to sacrifice instead. Livestock such as lambs and cows are slaughtered to commemorate the devotion. The meat is then distributed amongst communities and the poor. Everyone was trying to go home to celebrate Eid with relatives, and they have been waiting for a ferry. But there are too many people on the ferries, and there is little hope for them to get a good seat. There were also huge crowds on the train station. Everyone was worried and not sure how they could get a seat, even on top of the carriages. Most of their relatives are waiting for them so they can all celebrate Eid together at homes with families and friends. Meanwhile, in the Korean peninsula, sighs and cries of anguish and joy were heard in the South Korean Red Cross office, where a computer lottery selected candidates for the upcoming family reunions this month. The lottery drawn on the Red Cross computer randomly selected 500 from nearly 130,000 names of South Koreans looking for family members in North Korea. About 66,000 of them are still alive, with most aged 70 or more. The process of choosing which families to participate is complicated. 500 South Koreans will be chosen at random. That list will be pared down to 250 based on the applicant's health and whether they want to go. From that list of 250, 100 will be chosen at random to attend next month's reunions. Many of those gathered at the Red Cross left disappointed. In contrast, Kang Myung-hwan, 94, won the draw, but he doesn't feel especially lucky. Kang was among 82 South Koreans picked to visit the North in February 2014, the last time the Koreas held reunions of family members separated by the 1950-53 war, briefly seeing the son he had never met and will probably never see again. The next reunion, scheduled to begin October 20th at the Mount Kumgang Resort, north of the border, will last 3 days for each family member, but include only 2 hours of private meeting time, judging by previous reunions. Kang was a school teacher when he joined a wave of people fleeing the north as China entered the war, leaving behind his wife of 4 months. He hadn't known that she was pregnant and that the border would be shut. When he applied to join a reunion, he hoped to see his long-lost sister. Kang learned that she had died, but discovered he had a son. A government guidebook for South Korean participants discourages questions about whether their relatives eat well, advised them not to talk about politics, and warned them against getting drunk on potent North Korean liquor. North and South Korea have held 19 such events since 2000, bringing together 3,900 families in tearful but highly choreographed events.
Up next in Primetime Asia, the forest fires blanketing Southeast Asia are on track to become the worst on record, NASA has warned, in a crisis that has seen thousands of people seek medical treatment, flights grounded and schools closed. Malaysia, Singapore and large expanses of Indonesia have suffered for weeks from acrid smoke billowing from fires on Indonesian plantations and peatlands that are being illegally cleared by burning. Though the crisis grips the region nearly every year during the dry season, scientists predict the outbreak could surpass 1997 levels. Typhoon Dujen sweeps through Taiwan, killing 2 people and injuring hundreds more. A sinkhole causes carnage in Queensland, Australia, resulting in evacuations from a popular campsite. China's economic slowdown is felt in India's diamond hub of Surat as Chinese jewelers have defaulted on deals worth millions of dollars. Also in China, the pirates remain one step ahead as fake iPhone 6s hit the shelves ahead of Apple's official launch of the long-awaited model. Kartini Knox has these reports.
Thick white smoke from Indonesian slash-and-burn farming enveloped Malaysia's capital and other areas, triggering school closures for the following day as weeks of choking haze showed no sign of abating. Pollution readings in Kuala Lumpur soared into the very unhealthy territory in the Malaysian government's hourly air quality index. The Ministry of Education ordered schools shut in the capital and 3 states due to health concerns, the second time this month it has had to issue such an order. Malaysia, Singapore and large expanses of Indonesia have suffered for weeks from acrid smoke billowing from fires on plantations and peatlands that are being illegally cleared by burning. The fires are located on Indonesia's huge islands of Sumatra and Borneo. The crisis grips the region nearly every year during the dry season, but the current outbreak is one of the worst and longest lasting in years. Authorities have said tens of thousands of people in 3 countries have been forced to seek medical treatment for respiratory problems, and that dozens of flights have been cancelled or delayed due to poor visibility. Indonesia has faced pressure from its neighbours to address the problem since it first emerged nearly 20 years ago. Faisal Parish, the director of the Global Environment Centre, who is based in Kuala Lumpur, said methods like cloud seeding were not a solution because it needed cloud and moisture. The fires have been exacerbated this year by the effects of the El Nino weather phenomenon, as a prolonged dry season in Indonesia has parched the topsoil, fueling the flames. Singapore has called on Asia Pulp and Paper Co. Limited to check whether its subsidiaries and suppliers have any connection with the recent forest fires in Indonesia, which have caused a thick smog to envelope the city-state. Singapore's National Environment Agency also said in a statement that it has separately sent notices to 4 other Indonesian companies accusing them of contributing to the pollution. Southeast Asia has suffered for years from annual bouts of haze caused by slash-and-burn practices in Indonesia's Sumatra and Kalimantan islands, but governments in the region have failed to address the problem.
班的状况但是都是这样子要冒着风雨来离开那民众要回去呢是回不去的那我们看稍早之前的
Typhoon Dujen passed through northern Taiwan, killing 2 people and injuring 324 others. More than 1 million people faced power outages and hundreds of thousands were left without water. In northeastern Taipei City and Yilan County, strong winds and rains damaged cars and uprooted trees, local media CTI reported. Torrential rainfall in the mountainous region around New Taipei City also caused river levels to surge and triggered landslides. All local governments across northern and central Taiwan announced a typhoon holiday for Tuesday, ordering schools and businesses to close. Financial markets there were also closed. The tropical storm risk website forecast that the storm would continue losing strength. A major sinkhole has swallowed several vehicles at a popular camping spot near Queensland's Rainbow Beach. Video on a local news station taken on the next day showed the severity of it. Around 140 people were evacuated from the popular site at Inskip Point in the Wide Bay Burnett region of southeast Queensland as the hole swallowed a car, a caravan, a camping trailer and tents. Queensland Parks and Wildlife Services said the 150-metre sinkhole is 3 metres deep and takes up a large part of the MV Beagle campsite. Police and emergency crews were on site quickly, helping those in the immediate vicinity to evacuate. While some unfortunate campers lost their vehicles, others managed to escape to safety just in time. The park services said they will continue to monitor the situation and will approach geotechnical engineers to provide an assessment of the site. A year ago, India's diamond capital hit the headlines when one of the largest polishing companies in the western city of Surat treated hundreds of employees to bonuses in the form of Fiat cars, apartments and jewellery. This year, there's no sign of a repeat bonanza in a city that, by some estimates, polishes about 80% of the world's diamonds. The diamond hub of Surat is acutely feeling the pain of the slowdown in the Chinese economy as Chinese consumers pull back from luxury purchases, leaving jewelers with stocks of unsold jewelry and gems. Polishers say Chinese jewelers have defaulted on deals worth millions of dollars. Nearly half a dozen large diamond companies in the city have closed down, a significant hit for an industry that employs nearly 1 million people in India, 2/3 of them in Surat. Jobs are a critical issue for India's government, struggling to revive economic growth to a rate that will create employment for millions joining the workforce every year. Several workers employed by the trade during the years of giddy growth have lost their jobs in this coastal city, where streets are lined with workshops of all sizes, bustling with craftsmen huddled under desk lamps, preparing to carve rough diamonds into multifaceted gems. China represents roughly 1/5 of the world's polished diamond market, less than half of the United States in value terms, and accounts for the same proportion of India's $23 billion of annual exports. But its growth has fueled the diamond industry in recent years, as jewellery stores expanded at breakneck pace to cater for luxury-hungry consumers. At the peak between 2008 and 2013, diamond jewellery sales in China grew at a compound annual rate of 18%. Now, industry executives estimate growth in single digits, and jewellers are adapting and cutting back. Also, a crackdown on corruption has meant that the rich are fearful of any ostentatious signs of wealth, and among luxury goods, jewellery has taken a big hit. The latest Apple iPhone was due to hit shops last week, but counterfeits are already on sale behind closed doors in southern China. The shops inside a bustling technology mall in the southern Shenzhen city do not openly display fake iPhone 6s at their counters, but at one mobile phone stall, the sellers went to their inventory to fetch 2 fake iPhone 6s when Reuters reporters requested them. The trip to fetch them took about half an hour. Priced at 580 yuan, or about $91, a tenth of the price of a real phone at 6,088 yuan, the gold phone appears authentic, complete with the letter S engraved on the back. The sellers said it runs on the Android system, even though its display appears similar to iOS. But it is slow for a new phone, and the photos it takes appear fuzzy. The sellers, who refuse to talk on camera, also described their sales as mediocre, having sold fewer than 100 units since they arrived less than a week ago. Outside the mall, over 30 stores along a 1-kilometer stretch of shops carry Apple's giant white logo. But Apple only has one official store in Shenzhen and 5 authorized dealers in that shopping area. With signs that read authorized Apple resellers, some of these stores resemble Apple's signature white outlets, with clerks wearing blue uniforms and wooden tables displaying an array of Apple product dummies from the iPad to the iWatch.
Well, that's it for this week's Primetime Asia. We'll be back at the same time next week with more news and features from the Asia-Pacific region. Now, for more news, you can visit our website at www.rtbnews.rtb.gov.bn. I'm Malini Jaini, wishing you a good week ahead and good night. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.